Is there any difference in between this and the Ferrari? Where did those extra 300 pieces go? Building wise, is there any differences? Let's find out. My name is Zoltan, let's begin. Alright, this is the second 1/8 scale Formula 1 set released in this year, the 2024 World Champion Red Bull car. I already made a video about Leclerc's Ferrari last week, so if you missed it, make sure to check it out. Alright, the artwork follows the same 18+ dark design, and the set number is 42206. It contains 1639 pieces, and here is something interesting. The price is the same as the Ferrari. 230 euros or dollars. But here is where it gets even more interesting. The set has almost 300 more pieces than the Ferrari. That means the price per piece ratio is much better at 14 cents per piece, which is still not the best, but it's much cheaper than the Ferrari. On the back of the box, we can see the measurements. The Red Bull will be slightly bigger than the Ferrari, 25 inches long and 5.5 inches tall. Ooh, there is the same box. That's strange. I have same amount of paper bags, but only one plastic ones. But this set is 300 pieces more, so I think these bags are more packed than in the Ferrari. Here's my box, which will be the tires, I guess. Yes. These are the brand new soft tires, because the Ferrari comes with a medium yellow tires, but the Red Bull comes with this red soft tires. A same amount of stickers used here. I'm not a huge fan of that. And I have a slightly bigger manual. I mean, it's much beefier. Yes, it's almost 100 pages longer. Almost 400 pages. And of course, I have some background information about the Red Bull, about this car, the 2024 car, about the LEGO model, and of course I have a, not an interview, but just some explanation from Milan Reindl, from the senior designer. So does this extra size and the extra 300 pieces make any difference building wise? Let's find out. Well, this car is definitely more detailed and more polished than the Ferrari. Don't get me wrong, the Ferrari is detailed enough, but this car has an advantage with the extra pieces. But first, let's talk about the building experience. This car was built in a completely different way compared to the Ferrari. The first couple of bags focused entirely on the back of the car. First, I had to build the differential, using the usual technique. Then I added the shock absorbers, which were positioned slightly differently than in the Ferrari. The next major step was the gearbox, which surprised me because it was built differently using different elements, but the purpose remained the same. Then came the V6 engine using the same brand new block pieces that work exactly like in the Ferrari. By the end of the second bag, the engine, the gearbox, rear suspension and the differential were complete. Next up was the front of the car. I started with the steering system, which again used many different parts but ultimately resulted in a very similar outcome. I had to use a brand new wishbone element again, but this time along with the sturdier black shock absorbers. This means the front suspension has a shorter range of motion, making it stiffer than the back. By the end of the third bag, the steering and the front suspension were ready. The marriage between the rear and the front section was similar to the Ferrari. At this stage, the front part was mostly done. After that, it was just a matter of finishing the paneling, and that was it. This LEGO F1 car measures over 5.5 inches high, 25 inches long and 9.5 inches wide. So it's a bit longer, wider and taller than the Ferrari. And is it a good thing? Well, yes, from some angles, but it's taller. Again, taller. The car has a much bigger gap between the floor and the belly. You might remember that I didn't even mention this in the Ferrari review because, in my opinion, that ground clearance was acceptable. Sure, it was higher than it should be, but this is a toy, so I had no issue with it. Here though, the gap is much more noticeable and uneven. The front of the car sits lower than the back, giving it a wedge shape. But why? Why is that? Because of the shock absorbers. Remember, they used red, softer ones in the back and black, stiffer ones in the front. When I press them down, the front moves a much shorter distance, but the back bounces up like crazy. At first I messed something up, so I checked the LEGO.com and guess what? Their pictures show the same wedge-shaped gap as in mine is. So no, I didn't make any mistake. This is a flaw by design. But this car is far from being all bad. In fact, quite the opposite. Other than that issue, the car looks sick. And now, let's check out those tiny details. The front wing is built differently from the Ferraris. They used a different piece for the nose, which I think looks much better. Plus, the wing is a bit bigger. I simply love it. There are fewer gaps and pinholes compared to the Ferrari, so they did a better job here. They used the new tires too, but in the red soft compound. As I said before, this upgrade was inevitable, and it looks freaking good. At the front at least. But they use the same narrow design at the back. You know it, I know it, and I still hate it. But if you don't like the red color, you can swap them with the Ferrari's yellow mark tires, which might look a bit better. The whole front of the car is covered in stickers, just like everything else, but thankfully the stickers look good and almost all the sponsors are included. Now the Venturi tunnels are completely different. They use small helicopter blades to achieve this cool look. From the top, the car looks massive. Those white side pods are sick. However, they use the less attractive halo design. Personally, I think the first McLaren version was superior to this. The car has a seat, but this one is completely black and slightly smaller than the Ferraris. And did you notice any difference in here? Yes, the mirrors. Yes, the car has mirrors. They forgot to include them on the Ferrari. And the whole rear section looks much more polished. There are no visible gaps, the side pods are fully enclosed, and the engine cover is more detailed. And yes, they use more pieces in here, simple as that. But hey, why on earth didn't they use the same amount of parts for the Ferrari? Who knows? Maybe the license fee was expensive? I don't know. Oh, and that yellow and blue engine cover. Man, yes, those Red Bull logos are stickers too, but they look sick here. And the whole air intake is built differently. The rear suspensions, well, yeah, they use the same tires, you already know that, but the rear wing is completely different. It still has the same play function as the Ferrari, but it's way bigger, and I love it. But now, let's talk about the play functions. But these are basically carbon copies from the Ferraris, so you have seen them all before. There is the same hand-of-God steering, like in almost every big LEGO car. The steering wheel is connected to it, so it turns as well. The engine cover can be removed, and surprise, the engine sits much deeper than in the Ferrari, making it look a bit more realistic. The engine includes the same MGU-H motor generator unit heat, which is part of the hybrid system, capturing the energy from the turbocharger's exhaust gases and converting into the electrical energy stored in the battery for later use. If I spin the wheels, nothing happens. That's because the gearbox is in neutral. But if I push this knob, everything comes to life. The MGU-H starts rotating and the pistons begin moving. And if I pull the knob into the other position, everything moves faster, with the same amount of energy used. And of course, there is the suspensions. I can bounce this baby. So, is it better than the Ferrari? In some aspects, yes. The car uses more elements, so it's more detailed. The building techniques were completely different. Those blue pins aren't visible in the blue body. Hooray! The pricing is more affordable, this is a better choice price-wise, and overall it just looks more impressive, at least to me. But of course this car is far from perfect. That grand clearance is way too noticeable. And what's with this wedge shape? The car stands like a cat when you scratch its butt. No printed parts, except for the wheels, unacceptable at this price range, and the rear tires should be wider. So overall the car has some issues, but if I had to choose only one, I'd definitely pick this one. It's cheaper, more detailed, and just looks better. So guys, now is your turn. What do you think of this set? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like what you saw, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye bye!